right, welcome everybody to day 2 of Discovery Conference here at OCE. This theater will now proceed with the Student Oral Presentation Competition. And so I'd love to have you all, take your comfortable seat, grab a beer, put down the remote, you're not moving. All right, that was the non-scripted part of the show. There'll be other non-scripted parts, I'm afraid. So I hope my boss doesn't hang around too much. They could fire me, So good morning. My name is Marc Nantel, and I'm the Director of Research, Commercialization, and Talent Programs at OCE. And as many of you know, we try to encourage, mentor, and nurture the next generation of innovators in the province in science and technology, just to make sure we can drive the economic development and the prosperity of the province. That's part of what we do at OCE. The Student Oral Competition invites students from colleges and universities throughout Ontario to pitch their leading-edge research project. And they need to demonstrate why industry needs their research and what the potential impact of their projects can be. Here for you this morning, we'll have 15 of the top entries for 2011. This is open to all graduate students in the province doing research between 1st of April 2010 to 31st of March 2011. So we had a great pool of potential candidates, and these are the top 15. They'll each have 5 minutes. This is a joke I do every year. 5 minutes, like minute rice, right? Remember the lady on the show? 5 minutes. You're too young. To present their ideas, and then they'll have a couple of minutes where the judges will ask them questions. The judge will deliberate as soon as the presentations are finished and decide who'll be awarded the cash prizes of $2,500 for the first place, $1,500 for the second place, and a measly $1,000 for the third place. So, nothing to shake a stick at, if that's how you use the expression. I can always rely on the fact that I'm French-Canadian to, put things under the carpet. All right. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our judges, please, who are giving their time for you today. So you can get further biographical information in the thing around your neck or on the Discovery website. Our first judge, not in the same order, but nonetheless, our first judge is Toby Heaps. He's the editor-in-chief of Corporate Knights Incorporated. Toby is a current board member of Friends of the Earth Canada and chairman of the E3 Canadian Roundtables, a series of roundtables to define a Canadian energy strategy that will catalyze the country's clean energy superpower potential. So we're a superpower potential. This is important. He spearheaded the first global ranking of the world's 100 most sustainable corporations in 2005. We're delighted to have you with us, Toby, today, everybody. All right. Thank you. Our second judge is Lucy Keating. She's the co-founder and partner at Commexus, Inc. Lucy has designed and delivered many educational programs for organizations across North America and works with a variety of engineering and technical groups to design communications focused on fostering understanding and acceptance of change. That's pretty good. So essentially you go to people and say, "You're fired." Sorry. We're not downsizing, we're right-sizing. So I can only joke because I know Lucy well. So she's developed several corporate and public sector environmental compliance training programs and designed and delivered leadership, teamwork, networking, and presentation skills training programs for a wide variety of organizations, one of which is OCE, because Lucy teaches in our value-added personnel program. She teaches the networking and communication course. And yesterday, to a packed house, 70-some students took benefit of Lucy's expertise on the subject. So thanks for joining us today, Lucy. Thanks. So the reason why you should always write only half a page of these things is that if I read all the way to the bottom, my eyes would be like this. So I'll do this instead, and you can see my beautiful brown eyes. Next on the judging panel is Steve Currie. Steve is Vice President of Business Services for Communitech. Steve understands the challenges faced by early-stage companies, having been a founder and a VP of 2 startups. He has hands-on experience with funding, international business development, go-to-market, and growing teams from 2 to 40 plus in multiple locations. I assume that's employees as opposed to age, right? It's 2 to 40 plus. Excellent. Thanks for making the time with us, Steve. Everybody, Steve. And next, but obviously not last, is Rui Resendes, who is the Executive Director for Green Center Canada. Rui is an inventor, a scientist, and a practiced industry leader. His educational and professional background has given him the ability to bridge science and business together to create innovation. So welcome, Rui. Thanks for giving your time to this. Okay. So we're going to jump right in. What we're going to do is our finalists come from all sorts of colleges and universities in Ontario. Pay attention, guys. This is the instructional part of the show. This is a box. It is your friend. It tells our man over there with the AV to move the slide forward. It does not go backward. It only goes forward, okay? That's why it's green button. So before you push the green button, make sure you're done with the slide you're talking about. So there's no red button, so there's no nuclear holocaust coming. It's only a green button, all right? You will also notice quite prominently displayed at your left the time that you have left to speak. So it starts at 5 minutes and it counts down. And again, the countdown has nothing with nuclear holocaust. It is just about the time that you have to speak. So the judges also see the time, and you know, finishing on time is always good. You'll get I think it's a yellow light when you hit a minute and a half, and then a red light when you hit 0. That's all the instructions we have. If you want to have some drinks, if you have several members of your team who are here, you can come up and sit. If you're more than 4, I don't know where the 5th one's going to sit, but there you go. All right. Without any further ado, let's bring our first competitors. From the University of Waterloo, we have the revolutionizing hockey technologies. Jean-Samuel Rancourt is going to be presenting. And here are they. I mean, they're a full line. Where's the goalie? I don't know. Come on up here, everybody.
If everybody doesn't mind, I'm going to do my pitch in French, if that's not too measly. Is that the way you use the word? Okay. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here today, along with my good-looking team members, to present to you our new and exciting company, Hockey Robotics. What I'm holding here today is a pure carbon fiber 426-gram hockey stick, which would retail anywhere from $200 to $300. These new composite sticks have brought in a lot of great things to the game: improved feel, improved durability, and lightweight. However, these sticks have been seen in the past few years to break at every level, causing a major issue. When Professor McPhee from the University of Waterloo realized this, and realized through his work in golf that robotic testing, very present in golf, is not present in hockey due to the complexity of the slap shot, due to the two-arm design, the two-arm slap shot, the flexibility of the stick between the arms, the impact with the ice, he realized and put a team of PhD students together in order to design what is now the first iteration of what is now the Slapshot XT. Today, at OC Discovery, the Slapshot XT is being displayed. Hockey Robotics. Hockey Robotics is a startup company that we have created in order to commercialize the technology. Hockey Robotics is an independent testing and R&D firm in hockey, with clients such as the hockey brands and manufacturers, technology and materials companies, publications, and more. The question is why. We've talked about stick breakage, although any business-savvy person in the audience would ask, why do the brands care? It's important to understand how the hockey industry is set up. Currently, there are 3 major brands in hockey that dominate. These brands have the resources and the money to have their own R&D departments. And based on our research, we found out that they all have some type of robotic testing. However, the 30 other brands around the main 3 brands do not have the resources, do not have the $500,000 to $1 million that it costs to engineer, develop, prototype a robot. And that's where we come in. We want to penetrate the market by being their outsourced platform for R&D and testing to allow them to compete with the top 3 brands. Now, as our reputation grows, our technology improves, we will then penetrate the top 3 brands because it will no longer make sense financially and on a marketability perspective for them to do their own testing. Our technology. Robotic testing is a vehicle for continuous and repetitive testing, which allows you to do comparative tests. We also have an impacting machine. The main cause of stick breakage in hockey is wear and tear. A brand new stick on the ice rarely breaks. The slashes, the impacts of skates and pucks is what causes sticks to break. We have created a machine that can replicate these impacts. We're also working with a company out of Toronto called Integran Technologies. They're a nanometallurgical company, and they have a technology that they commercialize in aerospace and military, which is a thin metal film called the Nanovate NS technology, which is meant to protect carbon fiber from wear and tear. Their technology could revolutionize the world of hockey, and we are here partnering with them to help them test and develop the technology, which is sitting on the judge's table here with the silver lining, that could revolutionize hockey by protecting sticks from wear and tear. We've also been working, try it again. We've also been working with a company, a new hockey brand out of Sherbrooke, Quebec called SBK Hockey. They've invested money in order to become the first brand to see their sticks on the Slapshot XT and also to get involved in the nanotechnology project. Integran is also our other partner we've been working with. Professor McPhee, when he presented the project to many associations, also had a lot of client feedback. 3 or 4 big companies out of the odd 30 below the top 3 came to him with sticks ready to ship. Although he had to respond, it was still only a PowerPoint until we came in and built the prototype. But they're ready now to work with Hockey Robotics. A bit about the hockey stick industry. The hockey stick industry is worth about $200 million. Not skates, not helmets, just the sticks. And that's at the brand level, not the retail level, at the brand level. It's a small industry. We believe that we can grab $6 million. And off the bat, you would think that's small revenue. Although as a service company, that's a high margin $6 million. Our profits and losses, you can see that the first 6 months is a very slow, low revenue time. And that's because we want to make sure that our reputation, that our services, that our product are high quality. And that's a key for us to enter the market. What's also important to note is that even through those first 6 months, we're actually cash flow positive, which will help us grow the company very profitably. We have 2 phases of funding. One of them being starting right now through different competitions. We've raised $100,000. That was for the prototyping phase. Now we're raising money for the actual company. And for the first phase, we're looking at a few non-arm's length investors for a certain amount of money, $50,000 to $100,000. And we'll end with, our team is also supported by famous hockey player and Hall of Fame inductee Guy Lafleur. Thank you very much.
Judges, do we have any questions for Jean?
C'est bon, parfait.
Yes, Toby. Need a mic?
Hello? So you said the 3 major brands control a large portion of the market, and then there's 30 other brands that you want to service?
Exactly.
And then eventually, with the 6 million projection you had, is that based on servicing as well? The
Absolutely,
brands?
yes. Absolutely.
And what portion of market share do the 3 major brands have right now?
On the hockey sticks, about 70%.
70%. And do you really think you'll be able to penetrate them, given that they already have substantive R&D and capacity?
I believe so, and I think that the reason is more on a financial perspective. The cost of running your own R&D, if you conglomerate, have all of us together, as a company, you can develop and operate something much more effectively than brands can do separately. So I believe that financially, eventually, it'll make sense.
Are there any parallels to that in other industries where an R&D hub ends up providing the R&D for major corporations? Any kind of parallels or examples where that kind of model has worked in another industry?
Oh yes, there's a company in golf called Golf Labs. They're the ones who run the Iron Barn, which is the golf robot, and we're actually modeling a lot of our company based on Golf Labs, which is what they do in golf. Every year, every new golf club that comes out gets tested by the Iron Barn by Golf Labs every year. And in the Golf Digest, the February issue of Golf is the clubs and they review the robotic testing as well as player testing. So we model after Golf Labs quite well. John McPhee has contacts at Golf Labs, and that's where we learned from them. Yeah.
Okay, quick question for you then. What stage is your robotic tester in? Are you in alpha, beta? What kind of success have you had with the actual results?
I would say beta because the prototype that we have is currently working, although we still have a strong development team that we're already designing the second version right now. It's in the computer. It's about to get sent out for manufacturing. We've got a second base coming out. We have a puck loader. We have somebody working for all the electronics to add strain gauges, force plates, vibration sensors to the robot. So we're continuously going. But as of today with this robot, well, with the new base, within a few weeks, we have technology ready for to test as a commercial company. We'd be ready.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well done, guys. Thank you. Okay, take it up. All right, and so you'll see that we're fast and furious here. So I'll call the second competitor right away. Again, from the University of Waterloo, we have articular joint replacement using tissue-engineered implants, and we'll have Mihaela Vlazea. There you go. Thank you. Take the stage. This is your friend.
Okay. Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Mihaela, and along with my research partner Yasser, we would like to present to you a solution for healthy joints at all ages. To do so, we would like to introduce Tom and Tom's life story. Tom is in his 30s. He has 2 children. He enjoys playing hockey and basketball, and also he enjoys gardening and home renovations. In all, he's a fairly active individual. However, in his 40s, he begins experiencing knee pains and loss in range of motion. His orthopedic specialist tells him that he's in the first stage of osteoarthritis, presenting cartilage trauma. Now, this condition is non-reversible, but it can be managed through lifelong physiotherapy and pain medication. However, Tom, in his 60s, begins developing and experiencing more severe pain, and also he can no longer move properly. His specialist tells him that he needs to undergo a knee replacement surgery, also called an arthroplasty, which is painful. It has a high recovery time, and also it runs the risk of revision surgeries. In all, he will have to live with this implant for the rest of his life. But what if we could go back in time to when Tom first experiences his first symptoms and propose a medical solution that can change Tom's future significantly for the better? Our proposed solution is to target the early stages of cartilage trauma to avoid the need for a total knee replacement surgery in the future. To do so, we are proposing a tissue-engineered implant that is built using the CT scan data of the patient's damaged joint, and it is manufactured using a highly customized 3D printing machine in a layer-by-layer fashion. This implant has 2 substrates. One substrate is the bone interface. The other one is the cultured cartilage layer. The bone interface will be, after implantation, degraded and in time replaced by the patient's own tissue, which is the main benefit of our research, because this implant will actually be replaced by the patient's tissue in time. And also, it addresses the early stages of cartilage trauma. It is cost efficient, the part is easy to manufacture, and also the treatment is less costly and it is less it provokes less pain to the patient in the long run. Overall, Tom's future, we consider, will be significantly improved. But what if I told you that Tom's story is quite a common one amongst our population, where over 500,000 people on a yearly basis in North America alone undergo knee replacement surgeries, with nearly 10% of those being painful revision surgeries. The need for our technology is pressing, and not only that, it can be applied to a market of over $30 billion yearly. Also, the American Academy for Orthopedic Surgeons has projected that by the year 2030, almost 3.5 million people will need to undergo this surgery. Now, the reason we are so excited about this technology is that it can be applied to all joints in the body and also to multiple other applications, such as bone tumor replacements, maxillofacial, cranial, and dental applications. This technology has been developed in partnership with Mount Sinai Hospital, and it is patented and ready for commercialization. Now, we are very excited, again, about this method because we consider it to be a disruptive technology. This is because we believe it will interfere with the currently established orthopedic market by proposing an implant that is cost-efficient to produce, and also a treatment that is cost-efficient in the long run. And also, it can be applied to a variety of different sub-markets. And also, it interferes with the currently established implants by producing a very new technology. This is a great opportunity for those willing to invest to bring this technology to market and make Tom's future, and perhaps our own, a little brighter. This research could not have been made possible without the contribution of the following parties: a rapid prototyping lab at University of Waterloo, Mount Sinai Hospital, CIHR, the United States Department of Defense, NSERC, and the International Biomedical and Biomaterials Institute. Sorry. Thank you. I would like to take any questions if there are any at this point. It's okay, I'll repeat the question. Okay, so that's a very good question. The question was, where are we at with the regulatory approvals? That's one of the biggest barriers to entry in a biomedical market, right? So we are currently undergoing animal testing, and we have applied for human trials through the US Department of Defense. But we are a little bit premature, so we still have quite a bit of way to go through all the approval steps in Canada and the US. Thank you. Any other questions?
It's just, what kind of animals are you testing on?
So the question is, what kind of animal models are we using? So we have used rabbit and sheep. Yeah.
Great for Easter. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh man, I could go to town on this thing with animal testing. Anyways, I won't. I'd like to call up the third team today. It's from Carleton University, Efficient and Practical Anomaly Detection Techniques with Yasser Eftekhari. Yasser, take it over. All right.
Do you hear me at the back? Fine? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yasser. I am a fourth-year PhD student at Carleton University. Thank you all for being here. My presentation is Anomaly Detection. Before going into technical aspects, I'm going to show you a few slides of a few events. And I would like you to think about what is the common issue between all these phenomenons or events. So the first one, we have the Katrina hurricane. Then we have the tsunami. Then we have the earthquake. We have credit card fraud. We have drug addiction. We have terrorism. We have the cancer. And at the end, we have defective products. So they all have in common, the first thing that comes into mind is that they are expensive for the government, for the industry, and for people like us, right? But there's another point, and that is the major focus of my presentation, and is that, if you could go back, sorry. Yeah. So the main focus of my presentation is, in fact, the second point, which is they all start at a certain point with an anomaly sometime, right? So if we can predict those anomalies happening, we can probably prevent those catastrophes or at least reduce their effects. So I said about anomalies, probably for audience who are not familiar with the terminology, anomaly is anything that is not normal, is not behaving normal, is not something that you expect that to behave. So this kind of definition of normal is very qualitative. In fact, for different applications, there's different definitions for that. So when you have one application that you design the algorithm for that anomaly detection, you cannot apply it to other scenarios. It will just not work. We realized that, and then we said, what if we come up with a universal definition of anomaly, mathematical definition, so that when you define and design your algorithm, you test it once, then you can use it basically in every other environment. So then you can reduce the impact of human being decision at the end. You are ready to go when you have your prototype tested. You can apply it on many different scenarios. You will save lots of time and money. So our industrial partner, the Solana Networks, let us investigate on his problem that he had. The problem was how do we define network anomalies? In network anomalies, basically, we have some attacks happening on a network. The soonest that you can define them and realize them, you will save lots of money, time, and catastrophes, basically. So our test results on anomaly detection at Solana Networks basically showed us that we were able to define all anomalies that other techniques can use and can predict. Moreover, our technique was able to find anomalies that are not known today. So if there is an issue, a new attack coming up, then our algorithm can pick that up while other algorithms can't because they rely on a predefined normal definition. So our new definition was very helpful in that sense. Our next stage is to apply our method to new applications, basically on medicals. I'm very glad that I was after Mihaila because they needed that anomaly detection of the knee. This is a very basic definition or example of anomaly. If you have you feel pain in your knee, this is basically an anomaly. You need to detect that and take care of that. So once again, I was Yasser. That was my presentation, anomaly detection. I would be more than happy to take your questions at this time. Thank you.
Judges, any questions? Like that works. Thanks, Steve.
Sure, that sounds good. Yasser, can you speak to where you think the greatest market opportunity is for, I mean, you've got the research to a certain point, and now how do you see this playing out from a commercialization point of view?
Okay, so the first step that we did was to test it on network environments. And then one of the applications that we have is intrusion detection, which is very common in networks. So it is a very big issue in networks because, I mean, different types of networks. But then we are on the first stage now to apply the whole algorithm on CT scans to find anomalies on a scan that you have from your back, for example, or your knee, whatever. But the whole point I want to emphasize is that we work on the same structure and infrastructure that the currently existing algorithms are working on. So we take the same data, but that's the same algorithm that is used before. So whatever the application is, wherever you need to find an anomaly somewhere, like it could be applied on earthquake, but it would take time. So we are not that ambitious. We would say probably the next step would be medicals and then or medical imagery. So our test or literature surveys show that there is a very big market on that at the first place.
Yeah, so do you have a patent, and who are your major competitors?
Well, anomaly detection is a hot topic. We have lots of competitors, but to my understanding and to my knowledge, this is the first time that an algorithm comes up which has a mathematical definition of anomaly. So in that sense, we are unique, but we have lots of competitors. We need to struggle to get out.
Did you patent?
No, it's not patented yet. Because Solana Network does everything for us. It will be patented at a certain time, but we need to make sure everything is in place, everything is working.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving right along, I'd like to invite from Niagara College, Pragmatic 2. It's like a sequel. Pragmatic 2, a system to find and define farm management zones. We have Steve Niles. Steve, go for it. Good luck.
Good morning, everyone. My name again is Steve Niles, and I'm here on behalf of the Research Division of Niagara College to talk to you about our Precision Agriculture Automatic, or Pragmatic, project. So what is Pragmatic? In short, it's a way to compete in the 21st century viticulture and farming industries. But to be more specific, it's a web system that was designed so that a farmer could manage their crops more efficiently and economically by taking into account more of the factors that affect a crop's performance. The initial goal of Pragmatic was to create a number of information streams in real time that would be based and tailored specifically to that farm. These information streams would be available to the farmer in a number of customizable ways. For example, the farmer could be sitting in their living room on their PC viewing the conditions of their crops, or they could be standing out in their field with a GPS-enabled mobile device such as a BlackBerry, and that would be able to tell them the vital stats of whatever vine they happen to be standing next to. Another example is it could send them a text message if it determines that a storm has changed course towards their field. What makes all of this possible is the fact that our system is able to take information from a large number of different sources and combine them to give the farmer information that's more than the sum of its parts. For example, if the temperature and humidities and various other field conditions suggest that there's a chance the crops are at risk for disease, then the farmer should be notified right away that he may need to spray. But the system would also take into account that there's rain on the way and not bother because you don't want that effort to get washed away. By analyzing various things such as radar feeds, satellite imagery, weather towers, and other real-time data, these kinds of predictions can be made on a farm-by-farm basis. However, as advantageous as it is to have a personalized weather service just for your farm, we can do better than that, and that's where the SQL aspect comes in. So the next part is to zoom in a bit more and focus on the differences that exist within a single field. It's easy to think of a field in homogeneous terms, but if we can identify different subfield zones that have their own environmental conditions, then we can help treat each zone based on its own particular needs. So anyways, the first thing that we did on this level was to install a number of temperature sensors in a field and set them up to report back to the system on a minute-by-minute basis. Basically, because the radar and weather system, the weather towers and the satellite are still useful for tracking larger weather patterns, the smaller scale system of a sensor network helps complement that by allowing us to track how those macro weather events affect different parts of the field in different ways. Most of the time we would notice very little variability in the different parts of the field, but at times there would be up to a 10-degree difference in temperature in the same field in different places. Another way that we've been able to more recently determine different zones of a field that are not homogeneous but have their own little microculture is that we can take digital soil maps by combining orthographic photography with LiDAR-generated height maps. When we combine these together, we get a digital model of the farm, and when we cross-reference that with past soil surveys, it tells us a lot more about the ground that's supporting the crops, which is just as important as knowing what's happening above them. Of course, the topographic data can also give us lots of other useful information, such as where runoff will occur and where water will pool, or even things such as where there's going to be more or less shade. So by combining all of these different types of information, Pragmatic can tell the farmer things such as where the best zone to plant is, where they should spray and when not to spray, or where the best areas to harvest their crops first are. Anyways, the end result of all of this is that the farmer is able to make a more informed decision on how they plan their farm. It will help them maintain and improve their crops' performance while cutting costs and helping the environment. And given today's economical as well as literal climates, this is of greater importance than ever. Anyways, I want to thank you very much for your time, and we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Judges, pragmatic question. Yes, Roy.
Tell me a little bit about test sites, and have you validated these?
So far, we've partnered with a few farms in the Niagara region. We've partnered with Coyotes Run, 30 Bench, Len Crispino, and we have our own vineyard at Niagara College as well. So we've put sensor networks in all of these fields, and we've been tracking them in real time for a few years now. But the digital soil mapping is much more recent. I couldn't tell you too much about what sites we're doing with that. Our GIS technician is at our booth. They would be able to answer that question a little more thoroughly.
Seen higher yields on those sites?
Again, I haven't personally talked to these farmers. I work more on the programming side, but again, at our booth, you'd be able to get that information.
Steve, can you tell me a bit about who this applies to? Is it only viticulture, or does it have some potential impact for other farmers?
Well, we started off focusing it most on viticulture. In fact, one of the first things we did was create 3D maps of the individual vine positions in a field. But it definitely has applications because of its dynamic availability to all kinds of farmers, because the weather and temperature sensors, these things affect any type of crop. And we've even seen parts of the system, again, the sensor networks and the like, are used in everything from refrigeration in restaurants to any other industry. So different parts of it can definitely be configured in different ways to serve the needs of that particular business.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.
Well done. All right. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say, wow, the college has a winery. It also has a brewery. Go visit Niagara College. You'll have great food and great drinks. All right, moving right along, number 5, from the University of Western Ontario, we have solar hydrogen production via dye-sensitized photocatalysis, whatever. French, it's not my, from Pankaj Chowdhury. Pankaj, go for it. There you go. This is your bug.
Good morning. I'm going to present my research topic, solar hydrogen production via dye-sensitized photocatalysis. This is basically about future fuel and also using solar energy. I start with a brief background. Currently, we are facing a dramatic increase in carbon dioxide buildup in the atmosphere because of increasing use of fossil fuels. So the future energy market is moving towards a fuel that has less carbon or almost zero carbon, such as hydrogen. At the same time, we are showing interest in use of solar light energy because it's an abundant source and it can be our future, it can fulfill the future energy demand. So hydrogen can be our future fuel if it can be produced by using solar energy. Actually, it's possible. Solar energy can be used in conjunction with the concept of photocatalysis to make hydrogen. Photocatalysis is a technology which is well known in the, right now it is used in wastewater treatment and water treatment technologies, where solar light energy, or better to say UV light, is utilized to activate semiconductor photocatalyst, and they produce electron-hole pair, which finally produce hydroxyl radical in the system, and that actually responsible for the degradation of different pollutants. But there is a basic problem. Currently, what we have commercialized catalyst that all active only under UV light, and which actually represents only 4% of the solar spectrum, whereas 46% of the solar spectrum is visible, which is unused. So if we just use solar UV light to produce hydrogen, that will be very less. So there will be efficiency will be less. So we need to use the extreme entire solar spectrum. So we need a catalyst that is visible light active. So here is our aim, to produce a catalyst that work under visible solar light. There are different procedures available to make visible light active catalyst. Here we are talking about dye sensitization, which is a new and cheaper method. You know, dye is used to dyeing in textile industry. So dyes are all visible light active. So here we adsorb the dye on the semiconductor surface to make it visible light active. And then semiconductor are activated with solar visible light. Till now, mostly transition metal dyes are used to sensitize the catalyst, but it has a metal complex, so they are not environmentally friendly and they are costly. So we are interested to use in future metal-free dye and some dye that comes from natural vegetable, flower, fruits. So we are going to extract the dye and use it for our dye sensitization purpose. Now let's see how actually this process works for hydrogen generation. So dye, that is S0, it is attached to the surface of the semiconductor surface, and then when light strike the dye, it actually activate, it's actually excited, and then it inject an electron to the conduction band of the semiconductor, and this go to the co-catalyst and then reduce water to hydrogen and hydroxyl ion. And then dye is regenerated to an electron donor, and it also produces H+ in the system. So it is electrically neutral, and it's called sacrificial hydrogen generation. So we only generate hydrogen in the system. Till now we have make different catalysts. They are active under visible light, as shown from the characterization. And we've used different catalysts from zinc oxide and titanium dioxide based catalysts. They are active under solar light, and solar light gives more hydrogen. Our successful research will give a solution to the future for fuel cell technologies, because they can use this hydrogen as a source. Right now, they are using hydrogen from natural gas reforming process, which are costly and energy intensive, and they also produce greenhouse gases, but our hydrogen is clean. We are working with a company, Vive Nano, and also University of Toronto, and for the project, it is in initial stage right now. Thank you for your patience.
Questions? Esteemed judges, Roy.
Yeah, quick question. Actually, producing hydrogen from petrochemical feedstocks is actually quite efficient if you look at the whole process.
Yep.
And I was curious, I mean, have you done a holistic analysis of your technology and compared it to the petrochemical?
Actually, right now, 80% hydrogen coming from reforming process from natural gas, which is very good. But the only problem is natural gas price. It will depend on the natural gas price. So in near future, the price will go up, never go down. And the second thing, the carbon dioxide is generating. So you have to go to carbon dioxide sequestration. So if you actually sum up all the cost. So if we have a, what do we calculate? Like if we have a catalyst that give a 20% efficiency from light to hydrogen, so it can give a cheaper hydrogen than natural gas. Because our technology is close to the technology where solar thermal energy is used. So it's like same. So you have to, it is clean and you get solar light that is free of cost, right? And water also, right now it's abundant. So if you consider all these, I think in future, not right now, in future probably there will be comparable. And obviously we are going for a green technology.
Okay. Is there another question? There's time. Follow up. All clear? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okie dokie. Yes. First third is done. Woo-hoo. McMaster University is next with the new generation of green groom air conditioners. Mohammed Abu Al-Fish is coming up. Brilliant. Okay. He's bribing the judges. It could work. Okay. Go for it. Thanks. This is your button.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Currie Dorsey. This is Mohammed Abu Al-Fish. Thanks to OCE for giving us the opportunity to share with you this morning about our efficient home air conditioning unit. Our research tells us that air conditioning units come with lots of downsides that have to be dealt with. It is a huge expense, unfortunately. It can double your utility bill. The current one consumes about 12% of your energy to cool your house. And of course, they make noise. However, with our device, you will save electricity, and above all during the peak hours. It is less noisy, more affordable, as we use cheap metals and we use a small condenser and small fans also. And it is more flexible in terms of location, and of course, it is friendly to the environment.
You can see here the existing big market, big manufacturer like Train. Actually, they attend the 50% of saving using fluid. And actually, we are using our patent is specific for room air conditioning. That means we have a new application and with a new architecture and technology using fluid. You can see here 2 horsepower in the existing room air conditioning delivers 17,000 BTU with 11 ampere. With our device, 1 horsepower delivers 17,000 BTU with 7 ampere, and it's a big difference. I will explain next. That means we will limit the peak hours. You can see here we are adding heat exchanger, which cycle 1 is to cool the fluid in the heat exchanger, and cycle 2 is to use this fluid to cool the space. That means our challenge is to make energy management or balance between the 3 components, the degree of the room, the power consumption, and the time for the compressor to work. Here, a comparison between our device and existing device. You can see the energy efficiency ratio. It's about 50%, less noisy, 3 decibel, and higher margin.
And how big is the market size? According to Team Page in 2008, it represents about 70% in the market, which is a total of 11.34 units that was sold for a total of $2.5 billion. And who are our target competitors? They are the manufacturer chilling companies. Our target customers will be the manufacturers of home air conditioning, and our business model is to license our technology for them. And what are the benefits for Ontario? Of course, it is a greener generation of home air conditioning. It will be created in Ontario. It will lower peak hours. it will be friendly to the environment, and also Ontario would have the engineer that who are specialized in this area.
This is our first prototype. You can see here the degree in the heat exchanger. We attend 2.6 as cooling in the water, the fluid. And here the electricity used 3.7 for 10,000 BTU, which is very interesting, and a lot of specialists said it's something unbelievable. That means saving 50%. And here you can see the temperature in the grid, 9.5 degree. Actually, now we are in the step with a third-party designer, because that means they will design for us like final design to manufacturer, and you can see it's designed first. Actually, they have, you can see the result of step 1 with our device 7 ampere and the existing device component 11 ampere, and they agree with us for this issue, but we need to go for next step, step 2.
This is our management team, Mahmoud, the inventor, the person who invented the air conditioning, and this is us. And we're dealing with design first now to make the simulation. And we have Currie, who is a potential investor. And without the simulation, we're not gonna have the deal. And we need about $12,000 now to proceed to the simulation and complete design. And we do have Simpson also, we go that, represent our lawyer firm. And thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity. Any questions?
Thank you. Judges. Steve is taking the initiative. Go for it.
Just wondering, in your tests, have you been able to quantify the savings? Have you been able to go out into, say, a beta customer or site and actually quantify what those savings are?
Yeah, actually the saving was about 50% saving of electricity. Because the fluid, it's more efficient than gas. And the indirect cooling system is more saving, plus the storage in the tank, like heat exchanger.
And I have to apologize to the last group, because it said on my thing, new generation of green Groom air conditioners. So I was just imagining, well, think what you can about Groom, but it wasn't Room. Now, they did Room. Great. It makes more sense. Seventh team, please come forward. The University of Ottawa, we have 3D Telepresence by Luis Guerrieri. Please, Luis, take it over.
I'm going to talk about our project at the University of Ottawa, which is stereoscopic 3D telepresence. Maybe you are familiar with systems like Google Street View that allow us to visit remote places and interact with that environment without being physically there. We are trying to improve that, adding features that in systems that are nowadays in the market, they are still missing. Some of these features, they are quite problematic to implement in reality, are, for example, add stereoscopic vision to these simulations. Another of the issues that you find normally is have a fluid movement that doesn't destroy the illusion to be immersed in a virtual environment. Most of these systems rely in panoramic images. So it's well known that it's quite problematic to acquire an stereoscopic panoramic image in an efficient and economic fashion. And the last of all, if you want someone to enjoy an stereoscopic simulation and stay in that environment for extended periods of time, basically doesn't have to produce headaches. And everybody that watched a stereoscopic movie recently probably had the experience. I am one of those. So we want to make it appealing and we want to make it watchable. So this is our approach. We visit the remote location that we want to simulate in this program, and we take a number of pictures. Not any kind of pictures, panoramic images that allow us to have 360-degree views of the scene at once. Then we transform these stereoscopic images into stereoscopic panoramic images. And one stereoscopic image corresponding to each one of these sample points, not one for the whole scene. And then we store this in a server, and the system will retrieve 2 images, basically. When someone accesses and wants to navigate this virtual place, you're going to receive 2 images, one corresponding to the left eye and the other corresponding to the right eye, completing the illusion of seeing this environment like we were actually there. So realism is something important for us. And another factor is the intermediate views are going to be interpolated using the other samples in this environment. Well, this is in a nutshell how our proposed system works. Application for this, obviously education. When the more realistic is the illusion, the better the retention is going to be. So you put a kid to watch this environment, that will be an improvement. Another is collaborative urban planning or collaborative design, in which many people could watch the same environment in 3D simultaneously. Enhancing navigation in terms of hyperreality links, and that is an interesting venue for business because you can promote local businesses and have a revenue in terms of advertising. Another different and very interesting option is in virtual reality training. Talking with people from the Department of Defense, we know that we have here something very interesting, a more realistic simulation based in photorealistic views of the target location, in which you can train troops in home base before sending overseas. Finally, the part that is more interesting to me, particularly because I'm working in that, is how to improve the experience of watching stereoscopic media for extended period of time. That has direct application to the 3D movie market and the 3D TV also in post-production. Well, finally, I want to remark that this is an idea that has a tremendous business potential in the interactive multimedia market in Ontario, a market that gives to the province of Ontario $1.2 billion annually. So it's very interesting to promote not only a new system, but improvement to systems that are around. And I think that this is a dramatic quantum leap in which is available today. And that is a link when there are more simulations, interactive simulations that you can visit, providing that you have analog glasses to watch them. You can interact with them and play around. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I strongly believe that ideas they are developed in the university doesn't necessarily have to be just for articles or thesis. So I believe that our idea had to move forward to the commercialization. And as an engineer, I like to see things happening, and that is my idea, my goal. Thank you very much.
Okay, Toby.
Luis, I was curious, have you spoken with IMAX? And I was also curious, in the applications you didn't mention video games, and it would seem that it might be something interesting for the virtual video games as well.
Mm-hmm. I didn't mention video games because the paradigm we're using is a simulate environment based on images. Of course, you can create the next generation of video games that are so photorealistic that you can create a virtual environment based on images. That would be great. Instead of artificially computer-generated words. We are approaching into that. I think that the realism in video games is reaching the point in which you can actually see this is a movie or this is a video game. I'm interacting with something. And the future is interactivity also. So for that key point, I think that our research is very valuable in the future. In the next 15 years, we're going to see amazing things, and we are there.
And IMAX, have you spoken with IMAX?
I speak with IMAX, yes. I spoke before, and I know about the system they have. I'm familiar with Sandy, also the system they have for drawing in 3D. So I'm familiar with what they are doing and the 2D to 3D conversion also they're using. That we are not doing that. We are creating an stereoscopic world based on captures of left and right views in every direction. That is quite different of 2D to 3D conversion because in this case the quality you achieve is much realistic.
You mentioned a number of potential markets. Where do you think the first adoption will be?
First option, I think that will be in navigation and in hyper reality for that. So, because we are seeing, for this reason, I think that the market in stereoscopic display is going to develop first in mobile devices and a small screen, like we saw now in Nintendo creating this console for 3D video games. I think the next step is going to be pants and pant tops and tablet PCs and mobile phones. So you have that individual displays, and the application that provide something valuable for that is going to be the first of the markets. Second, probably home. So we are buying TVs that eventually the 3D feature is going to be embedded there without having to ask for a 3D TV. So second is going to be there.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. All righty. Another one from McMaster University. Please, could I have a clear solution for light responsive materials for drug delivery by Laura A. Wells? There, Laura, come on up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD, is an eye disease that's a leading cause for vision loss in North Americans over the age of 50. In fact, in Canada alone, it's estimated that there are 78,000 new cases a year, and these numbers are only expected to grow as the population ages. With AMD, cherished moments with loved ones or simple tasks such as dialing a phone are negatively impacted. In this example, if we look at regular vision versus someone with a progressive form of AMD, it is evident that there's a dramatic change in vision, and this is because it begins at the center of your vision. In Canada, it's estimated that there's $7.9 billion in indirect and direct healthcare costs associated with vision loss, and a significant proportion is from AMD. Those affected with it have a lower quality of life and are known to and are twice as likely to fall and twice as likely to break a bone. So we clearly need a solution. So there's good news and bad news to this story. The good news is that there are recent drugs out on the market that suppress the disease. The issue and the bad news is that it's very difficult to deliver them to the back of the eye where they're required. Common methods, such as eye drops or pills, simply do not work. And so what's commonly performed are intravitreal injections, which are quite literally injections into the eyeball. They're quite effective, however, they're required every 4 to 6 weeks. That's once a month. Therefore, they're associated with high costs for the injections and costs for professional administration of the injections. They're inconvenient to the patient, as you can see from this visual, that the procedure is quite involved, and patients have to get to professionals, which can be difficult when you're plagued with blindness issues. Also, there's risks involved with the injections. While the risks are low, when they do occur, they're quite dramatic and can impact vision. To solve the injection issue, the focus has been on creating long-term drug delivery devices that deliver on the order of 1 to 2 years. And this is a random example, ReadyZert, which is used in other applications. The issues with these devices are that they're at a fixed dose, which is not representative of how a disease progresses. Imagine, if you will, you had a disease at the back of your eye and you had a drug delivery insert. If your disease got better, the insert may be delivering too much drug, which is wasteful and potentially toxic. Or imagine vice versa, that the disease at the back of your eye got worse and the device may not be delivering enough drug and therefore is not treating your condition properly. What we want to do is we want to give control to the physician so they can externally and non-invasively adjust the dosage form over time. We do this by creating smart devices that can be adjusted with stimuli so that drug delivery and release can be altered. We look at using light and lasers because the eye is transparent. So if you have a patient with a low dose and a physician wants a higher dose, they can use one type of laser to increase the dosage, or vice versa. If they want to go from a higher dose to a lower dose, they can use a different type of laser. So we have created light-responsive materials by taking photoresponsive molecules and putting them into natural polymer systems. They deliver over the long term, and they have tunable delivery dose profiles with different types of light and different types of lasers. As a safety mechanism, we can actually turn release off, which is the example I show here, where we have release with the circles that continues, or with the triangles, we can turn release completely off. If we adjust the dose or adjust the formulation, we can create injectable materials that could be injected and then cross-linked in situ. And they're degradable. The bulk material of these materials is hyaluronic acid, which is naturally in your eye and will be degraded slowly over time. What's interesting is that any area that is amenable to light or laser applications could benefit from this technology. So we can extend it outwards from the eye towards things like skin or the digestive system and have an increased market. So here we really do have a clearer solution. AMD is a leading cause of blindness, and there are high costs associated with it. There are drugs out on the market, but they really need an effective drug delivery system. And so we have created light-responsive eye care treatment materials that deliver over the long term, can be externally and non-invasively adjusted by a physician so that we can effectively treat AMD and cure blindness. I'd like to thank the 2020 Network, OCE, and NSERC for funding. I'd also like to thank my supervisor, Heather Sheardown, McMaster University, and all of you for coming today. Thank you.
Judges, questions? Clear solution?
Laura, how close are you?
We've done quite a bit of what we call in vitro testing, so lab testing. We've demonstrated the drug delivery. We've demonstrated it's compatible with eye cell lines. So right now we're ready to take it to the animal model, and that's where we stand.
It's just the judges. Judges, question? I'm limited to asking to the judge for questions, sir. Sorry.
We can talk later.
People will actually dish out the cash later on. Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, thanks.
And there are animals available for testing from the other contestant earlier on. She's got rabbits and sheep, and so that's good. Actually, I could tell a story here if we had time, because I'm a laser physicist myself, and we did laser research for the eye, but you know, I think we had enough of like eye injection thing. That image, I will stay with me, the eye injection thing. Okay. Whew, excuse me while I inject my eye. The next competitor is from the University of Guelph, washing fresh-cut produce effectively and economically. I would like to call to the podium Hamid Zahedi. All right. Thank you. Here's your button.
Good morning, everybody. I think it's a good time to talk about the food because the middle of the work. So washing fresh-cut produce is actually a healthy food that these days everybody encouraged to use more, but there is some problems recently that we are facing. First, I prefer to talk about the goals of my project. At the end of the project, we are looking for an effective washing process, and also we are looking for a new approach to measure the quality of water, the washing water that we are using in fresh produce. Let's focus on the current issues that we are facing now in this industry. In last 10 years, we had 40 outbreaks, foodborne illness linked to this product. So I think you know what is the foodborne illness outbreak. It means that people getting sick when they are eating the food. So, and it actually, it caused lots of cost to government because people going to the hospital, and also it makes even some people getting die. So what is the process and what is the problem in this industry? Which stage make this problem? If you see the very simple diagram of the washing, the washing is the critical control point which we can reduce or eliminate the pathogen bacteria and also reduce the total population of bacteria on the product. Right now in industry, we are using huge amount of water to get the goal, and also we are using chemical sanitizer like chlorine to maintain the quality of the water. But it shows that this approach is not effective at all, because we still have lots of outbreaks linked to this product. Okay, here is just a sample of the washing of spinach. And now we are looking for a solution. What is the solution to solve the problem? Again, we're back to washing process. If we have a new approach to monitor the quality of water to see how many microbial load we have in the water, it's going to be a big improvement in washing process, because we can stop the processing and we can change the water right away to stop the spread the contamination to the whole products. And also, we are looking for a new disinfection process. The new one, the new technology that we are going to use is UV light in combination with filtration. Since UV doesn't have enough power, I mean, it can penetrate to the deep water, so we need to have a clean water. That's why we should use filtration before UV disinfection. At the end, I wanted to say that who is going to get the benefit of this research? First of all, government, since we are going to reduce the foodborne illnesses. The second part gonna be industries, because this way they can recycle the water. So for one shift work, which is 8 hours, they don't need to change the water. It's gonna be big saving on water resources. And also, they have safe product, because this way of the disinfection process is gonna be more effective. Actually, I wanted to thanks to my partners, which were AFC and my advisor, Dr. Kit Warner. So that's all about the fresh cut produce.
Vegetable, produce, washing. Questions from the judges. Lucy.
The use currently of chlorinated water as the wash, does that also have an impact on the viability of the process on certain produce? So in other words, certain tender fruits and so on, maybe even spinach, are negatively impacted by chlorine on their surface? and your process would make that better?
For, you mean the variety of the product, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Right, because the more tender products might be impacted negatively by chlorine. So using UV would change that profile. So it's better for the producer?
No, actually, by using UV, actually, we are going to just make the water clean. We are not working on the products. Yeah.
I realize that, but what I'm saying is that, is this another benefit of having the UV in that the chlorine may be giving a problem to the produce?
Yeah, yes. Another benefit that I can add to the other benefits is the cost saving, because this technology gonna be more cheaper. It's inexpensive, and the maintenance is so low. The maintenance cost is so low, so compared to the current technology.
Okay, thank you so much. Well done. You can leave me this guy. Yeah, I'll need this.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And this is yours. There you go.
Thank you.
And this is mine. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Ryerson University is next, and we have an EV battery thermal management with PCM. So could I have Guillermo Mora and Saurabh Sharma here ASAP? I'm just using more, letters. Okay, cool. Go for it, guy. Oh, there's more of you. Oh.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Saurabh Sharma, and this is my partner, Guillermo Mora. Today, we'd like to discuss our final year capstone project, which involved the thermal management of the next generation of electric vehicles. 23% of the CO2 emissions in North America today are produced from the transportation sector. This is also involved with the carbon emissions that come from the internal combustion engines in most vehicles on the roads. The increase in greenhouse gases is one major factor why sustainable fuels are the future of most industries in terms of research. Increasing gas prices, as everyone here is probably very familiar with, is also another leading edge in terms of what is making electric vehicles a future mode of transportation throughout North America and the world. Most electric vehicles in today's market are produced in warmer climates and areas where temperature variations don't fluctuate as much, such as California. Most batteries are affected by temperature dramatically in terms of their effectiveness, in terms of capacity and how much power they can generate. That's why thermal management is very important, especially in climates such as Canada. At this point, I'd like everyone in this room to think of yourselves as a battery. How do we cope with these temperature variations during the year? In colder weathers, we usually put on warmer clothes. That's obvious. If you sit in your house with shorts and a t-shirt while it's minus 15 degrees outside, you're most likely using your heater more often and for longer periods of time. Cooling is another issue in the summer when the outside weather is really warm, 27 degrees, balmy and humid. If you wear a sweater in your home, you're most likely using your air conditioner for a longer period of time. Out of all these methods, what costs us more money? It's pretty obvious. Those air conditioner and that heater is what is going to cost us more money. Since batteries go through similar scenarios, most electric vehicles and PHEVs today use thermal management, and a lot of their methods use those active cooling and heating, which is similar to the AC and heaters that I spoke about earlier. By using those methods, you're actually using the energy in your battery, which drains them quicker. At the end of the day, reduces the mileage of your vehicle and makes you charge that vehicle more often, which increases your electrical bill. Phase change materials are a completely passive method. They do not require any energy from the battery to maintain temperature, and they simply go through phase and absorb a large amount of heat. A good example is that of ice. When it melts, it absorbs heat without changing any temperature, as can be seen.
The issue here is if we put this kind of material inside of a battery, if it does melt, we need a method of actually controlling it from leaking. That's where the next component of our design comes in, and for that I'll give it off to my partner Guillermo to go through more details.
Carbon foam is a very lightweight and highly porous material. To get an idea of what this means, it is similar to a sponge. Much like a sponge that can absorb the water, the carbon foam can absorb the phase change material. This allows the design to be more compact and save space inside the vehicle. Another important characteristic of this material is that it is rigid, so as the phase change material melts, it will support the cells. By implementing this into our design, we managed to reduce its weight by 1/3. Another benefit of this material is that we can physically orient the foam to various conductive properties to better suit our needs. That means that our design is highly adaptable to different battery packs that have varying orientations available in the market today. Now that we've mentioned some of the technical aspects of this research, I would like to talk about some of the impacts that this will have here in Canada. This research will help us boost the electric vehicle industry into Canada. By reducing the number of times you need to charge a vehicle, you'll be reducing the tax on the grid. This is a huge step forward, considering that one of the main reasons that electric vehicles are not popular here in Canada is due to the lack of infrastructure to meet the electrical demands. Economically, progress towards a better solution to this problem will help boost the auto industry in Canada. The social impacts are also huge. As my partner Sora mentioned earlier, 23% of carbon emissions comes from the transportation sector. By completely eliminating exhaust emissions from internal combustion engines, Canada will take an important step forward in the growing fight against climate change. Before I conclude this presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Alan Fung, our project supervisor, for his support and guidance, as well as the rest of our research group, Kevin Chung and Mohammed Rahman. Without them, this project would not have been possible. I would also like to thank the entire Center of Excellence for giving us the opportunity to share our research in today's event. Thank you very much.
Could you clarify for me, what is the phase change material? Is it the carbon sponge, or I thought I heard you say the carbon sponge holds the phase change material?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Is it the carbon sponge itself? That's the phase change material?
No, it is integrated into the phase change.
Okay.
So like here you have the ice melting, right?
Sure.
So if you try to put the cells in there, as the ice melts, they will start moving around. So you integrate the carbon foam, will absorb the phase change material in its liquid phase. You can then place the cells in there, so it will help support the cells, and the phase change material will absorb the heat.
So what is the phase change material?
It's hydrates.
We used hydrated salt, but there are other materials as well.
Like wax and paraffin, a bunch of others.
Do you have any industry partners that you're working with, and how far along are you there?
I believe our instructor have contacted Electrovaya, which is a Canadian manufacturer of lithium-ion batteries. We're currently looking for more partners to help us further this research. We're at the conceptual design stage. Although our research has shown very favorable data to show that this has a potential for electric vehicle industry.
Thank you so much, guys. Well done. Looking forward to drive that car. All right, we're 2/3 of the way through. There you go. Hey. So the next 5 teams are standing between us and lunch, but don't let that, color your judgment. I'd like number 11 from the University of Toronto, an automated bioreactor for the production of clinical-grade umbilical cord blood-derived cellular therapies. And what we have here is Elizabeth Kazar. There you go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elizabeth Chassar, and I'm excited to be here talking to you today. Leukemia and blood disease affects over 100,000 Canadians, and these are often young people who have the potential of long and productive lives ahead of them. Bone marrow transplantation is one potential treatment option that has been used for many years. However, it still suffers from a couple of serious drawbacks. Firstly, bone marrow transplantation and bone marrow donation is an invasive surgical process. This means that it comes with inherent medical risks and high costs to our healthcare system. Secondly, and more critically, approximately half of needy patients who require a transplantation are unable to find a properly matched donor. Umbilical cord blood is an alternative option to bone marrow as it contains the same blood stem cells that are needed for transplantation. Umbilical cord blood has many benefits, and quite interestingly, one is that it can be obtained non-invasively and it can be banked for potential future use. Our Ontario government has recently recognized the potential of umbilical cord blood, and earlier this year, the creation of a public cord blood bank was announced. So this is certainly a very exciting time for umbilical cord blood and for the treatment of blood disease. However, there is still one major limitation. The major limitation with umbilical cord blood is that low cell numbers in an individual sample make it fairly rare that it can be successfully used for adult patients. Umbilical cord blood finds great use even currently in the pediatric transplantation setting, but it's still lacking in terms of its potential success in the adult transplantation setting. So there's certainly potential for the development of a system in which umbilical cord blood stem cells can be expanded in vitro such that they can be used for all potential patients. And that's the work that we've been working on over the last while in our laboratory. We've developed a strategy in which we can increase the stem cell numbers in umbilical cord blood by 11-fold by using a process that minimizes the impact of inhibitory factors that tend to accumulate when you try to expand these cells in culture. In doing so, we're able to increase the stem cell numbers and prevent these cells from differentiating into less relevant mature blood cells. We've combined this methodology with an automated bioreactor device. This system is modular, it's closed system, and it's automated, which means that it's clinically relevant and it's ready to be used in clinical trials. We're also incorporating the real-time monitoring of critical factors and developing a process control feedback system such that we can account for things such as sample-to-sample variability among individual cord blood samples. We recently patented this device with Mars Innovations and are working with our industrial partner, Octane Biotech, to move towards commercialization. This system will find its primary benefit in the clinical setting, where it will be used in hospitals and healthcare centers. In this way, it will reduce our long-term healthcare costs, and it will allow all potential patients to receive the transplantations that they need, especially in combination with a public cord blood bank. It will also find use in research facilities and biotech and pharma companies to use for translational research as well as emerging technologies. Thank you very much.
Questions on cord blood from the judges? It's good you didn't bring a cord. Anyone wants to tackle this on the stage?
Okay, you mentioned you have some partners. How far along then are you in bringing this to market?
Yeah, so our system has been fully validated in vitro and in vivo. It's been patented, and essentially we're working with companies that specialize in the actual design of the device itself. The methodology is ready to go, and in combination with the device, it's ready for sort of immediate use in clinical trials. We had an early stage device that went through the regulatory process, so we're fully kind of competent in the process towards clinical trials.
Other cord blood question? All right. Thank you very much. Well done.
See, when the government announced this new national bank, I decided to donate some of my cord blood, but I couldn't get any blood out of my 46-year-old cord, so I decided to give up. But no, both my kids, we banked their cord blood, so I hope I never get to use them. Thank you. Whoops. Tell me when it's back on. Is it back on? Is it back on? Okay. I won't make jokes that loudly anymore. We're at number 12 of McMaster University, Thermoelectrics and Thermal Energy Recovery from Pizza Oven. I'd like to see Donald Anthony Finerty up here. All right.
Hi, my name is Donald Finnerty, and I'm here today to talk to you about thermoelectrics and thermal energy recovery in pizza ovens. In industry, we create heat. Heat is used for various things to cook food, melt metals, create chemical reactions, and the real problem there is that a lot of that heat can't actually be used. It's waste heat, and what we do with that waste heat is we vent it to the atmosphere as a waste byproduct. What my research is focusing on is what can we do with that waste heat. So one option is thermoelectric generators. These are really nifty solid-state devices that can turn a temperature difference into electricity. They work on the Seebeck effect, which says that under a temperature difference, charge carriers, such as electrons or positive holes, will drift from hot to cold. That way we get an electric current, which we can use as electricity. But, so why is the title of this presentation Energy Recovery in Pizza Ovens? Well, in pizza ovens, a typical restaurant has 5 ovens that are working on a 16-hour shift, generating about 35 kilowatts of energy. The exhaust gas from that energy is about 260 degrees. And why is that number really important to us? Well, most commercial thermoelectric generators are made from a material called bismuth telluride. And if I can draw your attention to the graph on the left, you can see the red line there indicating bismuth telluride tells you at around the range of 100 degrees to 260 degrees, bismuth telluride is really performing well as a thermoelectric generator. So that makes it really good for our particular application. So, like I said, pizza ovens are rated about 35 kilowatts, which means that in a typical 16-hour shift, there's about 1,860 megajoules of energy created in a pizza oven. If we can get just 3% of that and convert it to electricity, we can get between 17 and 46 megajoules of electricity every day. That still leaves us with about 700 to 1,400 megajoules of energy. What do we do with that excess thermal energy? Well, here's our plan. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our pizza oven. That's venting its exhaust gas at 260 degrees to the atmosphere. What we tend to do is to use heat pipes to extract that energy from the stack and bring it to the thermoelectric generators, heating up one side. Then using domestic water to cool the other side, getting our temperature difference, giving us electricity that we need to either funnel back into the store or onto the grid. But still we have that excess energy. So what we want to do is use that domesticated water, which is now heated up, bring it to multi-level heat exchanger tanks, and use that hot water for either the heating and cooling purposes of the store or the hot water they need themselves. So our research takes place in 4 parts. The first part is my part, where we're constructing a 1 kilowatt generator device for pizza ovens. The second stage is we're going to go into a pizza restaurant and we're going to do an energy audit, see the heating and cooling needs of it, see when they're using their most electricity, and try and figure out advanced technologies that we can use to reduce that load and also the CO2 emissions. And the third part is using all that information to create the multi-level heat exchanger tank that I talked about in the last slide. And the fourth part is developing next-generation thermoelectric generators that we can use, which are much more cost-efficient because the manufacturing process is so much better. So let's see what we do with that energy from the heat stack. I said we got 35 kilowatts from a regular pizza oven. 10% of that goes into creating the pizza, actually cooking it, and 28 kilowatts is coming out. If we can take 3% of that, creating our electricity, we still have some waste heat which we can't recover. And then finally, the rest of it is about 12 to 28 kilowatts is going to heating and cooling and the hot water. So what is the payback period of our device? So if we considered that they're rated at, if we consider the cost of electricity being between 11 to 12 cents, we can regain about $200 to $560 per year. And we can use that to offset our electricity bill. Considering the cost of these devices is going to be between about $6,000 and $8,000, that's including all profit by all parties, we have a possible payback period of 10 years. But if you get Ontario feed-in tariffs, that is greatly reduced. If you use our next generation tech modules, that's reduced to almost 5 years. And this is not including any sort of thermal energy recovery that I talked about with the multi-level heat exchanger tanks. So what does Ontario get? Ontario gets on the ground floor of a new technology that's emerging that increases the efficiency of industrial processes and possible distributed systems for the smart grid. And industry gets a possible revenue generated through the smart grid and also recuperated losses through the electricity and the thermal storage. So just an idea about where this can also be used. I'm talking a lot about pizza ovens, but it's useful anywhere. These are the conversion efficiencies of various power generating processes. And you can see that these are the efficiencies. If these are the efficiencies, then this is the amount of energy that's being wasted as heat energy that we can recover. So in closing, I'd like to thank Thermal Electronics Corp, our partner, our customer, Pizza, our supplier, Aqualab, and OCE for having me here today, and NSERC as well. Thank you. I'd also like to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, right. I guess I just wanted some clarity. I mean, the power industry, the petrochemical industry, I mean, they have a lot of heat recovery technologies that are currently used. So how is your technology different from what's already out there?
It's not really different, it's adding on. Like you said, there are other thermal energy recovery systems out there, but what we're adding to it is the thermoelectric part of it. We're going to put in the modules there that can also, generate electricity and still work almost as well as the current systems that they have in place. Like I said, we're only extracting 3% of the thermal energy. Now that is a low amount of energy, but there are thermoelectric modules can work better. It's up to 10%, but still we're only taking that much out and generating useful energy for the petrochemical plant itself. And like I said, if you offset either your electronics bill or even get Ontario feed-in tariffs, you can generate a lot more energy and get a much quicker payback period.
Questions from the judges? Pizzas?
Yeah, could you just tell me about the pizza part of this? Was Pizza kind of the initiator of this, or did they come to you?
Like I said, the pizza oven is really the easiest way for us to get our prototype built. I'm not exactly sure if we went to them or they came to us, but they're our partner, and that's what it is.
So you just use this as sort of a micro.
Yeah, it's a really easy way for us to get it on the ground, and we can also create a workbench prototype that we can install in all the pizza stores around Canada, and then show that this can actually work and this technology is viable, and then expand it out to other industries and other companies.
Okay, thanks very much.
And actually, I've been told that the group from where the last presenter is working is also going to do thermal management of beer fridges. So there you get the pizza, the beer fridge. That would be great, wouldn't it? No? Okay. Never mind. Moving on then, we've got from the University of Ottawa, smartphone-based biomedical human-computer interface. Danielle Shapiro can come in. There you go. Here you are.
Hi there. Ready to go? All right. So my name is Daniel Shapiro. I'm going to be presenting to you today a smartphone-based medical device for the treatment of cognitive impairment. This project was supported by the Ontario Centres of Excellence, our industrial partner, Robotics Technology from Sudbury, the University of Ottawa through a research agreement, and CMC Microsystems. So we're looking at the medical problem of cognitive impairment. And so what is cognitive impairment? God forbid someone's in a car accident, they have a mild stroke, we can see in a pencil and paper test that they lose some of their cognitive capacity. And so what are the treatment modalities available to address these problems clinically? So the first one is drugs, which are expensive, experimental, and have side effects, and people are already on a lot of different drugs, so who knows what's going to happen. Another possibility is a brain pacemaker, which is very invasive, and it's a very radical approach. Another possibility is cognitive behavioral therapy, over thousands of hours with a human in the loop, so that's expensive. And then there's the approach we decided to follow, which is computer-assisted cognitive rehabilitation, which takes out the therapist and makes the cost more manageable. So we went in search of a solution in academia and in industry, and there are systems out there for aiding the blind, for restoring lost balance, and for paraplegia, we found that a device is necessary instead of just a computer screen because the brain needs novel stimulus to affect neuroplasticity, to heal itself. It needs to be entertained a little something different. And so what we found is that building our own platform for novel stimulus was feasible and was achievable, and so we did it. And so here's a prototype. It's a non-invasive medical device. You can see on the bottom of the device, there's an electrode array facing the tongue, which reaches up into the brain, addresses the prefrontal cortex, and then we've got some nerves coming back down through the tongue. So there's pressure sensors on the top, so it's bidirectional feedback. Outside of the mouth, so inside the mouth, there's a biocompatible coating. So this is connected to a pod that just sits outside the mouth with a microcontroller, antenna, and a battery. This little pod communicates with the smartphone, which runs the cognitive repair games. So the user feels that they're playing a game, but in fact we're treating them so that it's not super boring. And so because the smartphone is internet-enabled, we can also have collaborative play, which makes it, again, continue to be interesting, and real-time data acquisition so that it's not the same thing over and over again. And so we've developed a few different prototypes, and you can see them at our booth over here. Over time, they've increased in electrode density and in the feature set of the platform. So our value proposition is we estimate that there's a very large market out there, $1.75 billion per year. We estimate in volume the device will cost around $100 to produce, and we've built our own integrated platform. I should mention there's also a cleaning protocol between subjects so that you can actually keep the life of the device for a while. So far we've raised $350K in cash plus OCE matching from a TPS Lite application. We're also pursuing a MyTax Accelerate and a collaborate with OCE. We're also in discussion with IRAP, and we're looking for other funding. Speculatively, our projected revenue is $1, $3, and $10 million over the next 3 years as we pursue our exit strategy of licensing the IP to someone who's already in this channel so that we can access the market nice and quickly once the studies validate. So we're in the provisional patent process. We're starting our first human trial in 2 weeks, so very soon. We're pursuing FDA approval, Class 2 for performance, and also Health Canada approval, because we're in Canada. We've got ethics approval for this upcoming trial on healthy people, and a follow-up study is going to be fMRI for inpatients in a hospital in Northern Ontario. And so in conclusion, we're looking to help people heal affordably from cognitive impairment. Thank you, and I'll take your questions.
Well done. Steve, Rui, Toby, what's your name? Your thing's falling. Lucy, go for it.
Okay, I have a quick question. Can you speak to just what the benefit, the increase in functionality or for the patients themselves? What is the difference between the previous state and the outcome that you've been able to achieve?
Okay, so sometimes you get mild cognitive impairment that expresses itself, and sometimes it doesn't. For example, my mother had a mild stroke, and she became a better painter. You never know. But there are some people who really do experience damage. And we're using tests like the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's a paper and pencil test, and the person writes the test, and they don't score as well as the average, and after the therapy, whatever it is, they write the test again and they perform better. So the cognitive capacity is actually measurable, and it has to do with just functioning in everyday life. So these are people that they can go through this very long human-to-human therapy, and it does work, but it's also crazy expensive. So OHIP would rather not do that.
Do your patients have to come to a facility to do this, or is this something they can actually do at a remote location?
So this is in a remote location. It's a group of subjects with, we think, prefrontal cortex damage. We're going to do the study. We haven't done that second study, the fMRI validation study. The first study is at University of Ottawa on healthy subjects, just to validate the device. And it's actually like a gaming platform. There's a whole sequence of games with science behind them, it's not just for fun, designed to improve the cognitive capacity of that person in a very specific way.
Do they have to come to a treatment facility to participate in this, or could they, in fact, do it in their own home? Or
So in terms of like outpatient treatment, right now we're doing the studies. So we need control to do a study. Later on, perhaps, it's non-invasive. You can take it out of your mouth. It's not an implant. But the advantage is that it's not brain surgery. That's what we're pushing.
Okay. There. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're on the last page. Let's see, actually number 14 now. So second to last, the penultimate. So you can't say you can't say P in that mic. The penultimate talk is from the Humber Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning, the e-ankle project. I'd like to see Castroy Kane right here. There you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Today, I'll be presenting to you the e-ankle research project. This project has been done by Humber Research in collaboration with Communitech Orthopedics and the Ontario Centers of Excellence. I'd like to tell you a story of a relative of mine, Michelle. Michelle was born with what's commonly known as clubfoot. Clubfoot affects 1 in every 1,000 children. This hindered Michelle's development tremendously. She could not go to the park and run around with her friends. She could not even get herself out of bed in the morning. Michelle was taken to the doctor and her ankle was fitted with an ankle-foot orthotic, or an AFO. Over time, this corrected her ankle condition. Michelle went on to do some extraordinary things that requires strong and steady ankles. At age 9, she was top of her gymnastics class. She was leading scorer on both her middle school and high school basketball teams, and today she's an aspiring professional dancer. None of this wouldn't have been possible if Michelle did not receive the ankle therapy that she needed. Like Michelle, there are over 1.3 Canadians with similar ankle-foot disabilities. These may arise because of a birth defect, ankle trauma, or resulting from a stroke. The problem with the traditional AFO is that they are manufactured for walking on flat surfaces. It only allows the user's ankle to rotate about 14 degrees, which is not enough for using stairs or even to go across uneven surfaces. Although the first generation e-ankle is an extraordinary product, it lacked the technology needed for it to be a product for the masses. The bulky wire that connects the user interface with the ankle brace is very bulky, uncomfortable, and quite intimidating from the user's perspective. When Communitech decided to work on their second generation e-ankle, they approached us at Humber Research and asked if we can make the product user-friendly, intelligent, and improve the overall marketability of the product. We did this by first adding an onboard processor. This added intelligence to the system. It simplified the system tremendously from the user's perspective. It makes it possible for the ankle to attain a higher level of accuracy, and it makes it possible for Communitech to customize each e-ankle based on their customer's body type and posture. We also added a wireless interface. This got rid of the bulky wires. It made the system a lot more comfortable, and it gave the user the flexibility of transitioning from one surface to the other. So transitioning from flat surfaces to stairs, or from stairs to flat surfaces. Because of the modular design of our system, it gives Communitech the option of porting the controls onto other wireless-enabled devices, such as smartphones. We've done extensive research, and we have not found any similar product on the market or in development anywhere around the world. Communitech is planning on selling their e-ankles for about $12,000, which is only $2,000 more than a standard carbon fiber flex joint e-ankle. Given all the added technology on the e-ankle, automation, multi-mode functionality, wireless interface. I think that this is a really, really good deal. As well as making sales to actual patients, Kintex would also be selling e-ankle kits to orthopedists and AFO manufacturers around the world so that they can transform their existing standard AFOs to multi-mode automated AFOs. Kintex is planning on launching their product for clinical trials this coming September. They're estimating 30 sales within Ontario alone within the first year. Thank you.
Excellent. We have questions on the e-ankle. Yes, Ryan.
Can you tell us a little bit about the IP? And have you developed intellectual property?
Yes, there is actually a huge programming aspect to this project. We're using a microcontroller, and all of the codes were written by us, by our team members. We also designed the circuit. We also printed circuit boards that the actual circuit is going to be placed onto, which would shrink the size of our circuit tremendously, probably about 20% of the actual size that you see here.
Questions? The ankle? Okay, thanks guys.
Okay, thank you.
And here we are. Last talk of the morning goes to the University of Waterloo. It's Wattice ice-phobic nano coating for power transmission lines. I'd like to see Adam Dobry and Drew Davidson here. Please, guys, take it over.
So, I want you to think for a moment about how important electronic devices are in our lives. Your smartphone, this building, this entire city, and pretty soon, as we've seen in this conference, even your car, are going to be reliant on an electrical power supply to you. And for this city in particular, this entire city relies on just 2 electrical transmission lines. And if one of these lines is to go down, they're at capacity pretty much right now, and the one remaining line can't pick up the slack and many people will go without power. So, good morning, and welcome once again to Discovery 2011. I'm Drew Davidson, this is my colleague Adam Dobry, and we're here to present our project, new ice-repelling coating for hydrotransmission lines. We're part of a group of 4 University of Waterloo students, and this project is an example of how nanotechnology can be applied to change the macro-scale properties of a massive system such as that of electrical transmission lines. I will speak about our motivation, and then Adam will take over and speak about the results and impacts of our research. So, why should you be concerned about transmission line icing? Well, I'm pretty sure most of you or all of you can remember where you were during the ice storm of 1998. A large portion of North America was coated in a blanket of ice, and down transmission lines as a result of that caused a large amount of havoc, forcing people to endure days or weeks without power, and ended up causing over $3 billion in government and industry losses. This and other storms served as the inspiration for our project. Our system to prevent ice buildup would ensure that people will not have to endure such hardship again, while simultaneously bringing benefit to the electrical distribution companies in a more reliable product. Distributors have told us that even without a catastrophe such as the ice storm, icing is still a multi-million-dollar problem every year. And current ice removal methods are expensive, inconvenient, and often dangerous. We thought, what if we could simply make a system that would reduce the likelihood of ice buildup, and in the case that ice buildup does occur, make it fall off on its own. first we needed to understand how ice coats a line and how to stop it. Ice coats a line because water molecules are able to interact and bind strongly to the surface. To reduce these interactions and allow water to simply flow off the line, we created a two-step process that changes the surface morphology, like the surface roughness, and puts down a monomolecular film to reduce the interactions between water and the surface. So, what do you picture when I say monomolecular film or coating? Probably something like you see on an ordinary power cable. But this film is so thin, you can't see it, and it doesn't affect the mechanical properties of the line at all. So I'm going to hand off to Adam, who's going to talk about our results and impacts.
So we were able to obtain a surface which was highly water repellent. As you can see in this video, the water just rolls right off the lines. And in a simplified test of ice adhesion reduction, we were able to obtain promising results as well. So how is our solution new? Well, we've used an entirely solution-based process that uses only a minuscule amount of the coating material, so this should lead to a low-cost, green, and easily scalable system. And this is innovative in relation to previous such attempts at coatings, which have used things like toxic solvents and high temperature. So some potential impacts of the coating are increased reliability of the electrical distribution system, increased profits for transmission and manufacturing companies as they can provide a better service for cheaper cost. Currently, our process would work best in the current manufacturing process for new lines. However, we believe in the future we can adapt it to work on lines that are already in place. The three major groups stand to benefit from the implementation of the research: the government, which could provide consistent power to its citizens, corporations for profit and better services, and the public would see less damage. There'd be less damages due to potential ice storms. And we'd like to acknowledge the help of the two of our other group mates who couldn't be here today, as well as our supervising professor, Dr. Eric Pruzet, and Waterloo North Hydro.
Two quick questions. How long does the coating last? Do you have an idea of that? The first question. Second question, have you pursued any strategic partnerships with Siemens, ABB, Hydro One, Hydro-Quebec, any of the large transmission players that are looking at northern grids right now in Canada?
So the first question was how long should the coating last? It's a single layer. It's single layer monomolecular thin film that binds directly to the surface of the line, so it should last for a very long time. In terms of actual testing, we haven't been able to do that yet. And then the second part was, have we talked to transmission companies? Yeah, we've contacted several transition companies, and we're talking to them about various aspects of the projects, but we don't have anything really official yet.
Can you tell me, is this retrofittable? So in other words, do we have to have brand new line that we coat, or can we go back and coat existing line?
Right now, the way that the process is set up, it would be easiest to do in a manufacturing facility as the lines are coming out. However, we believe with a couple design changes, we can apply the same approach to current transition lines.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Well done.
Well, you know what? That concludes. Did I forget anyone? Is there a competitor here chomping at the bits to come up now? No. Okay, so I guess it does conclude the oral competition for this year. I'd like to thank all the participants. Let's give them a final round of applause, everybody. Yeah. And I actually would like to request that they sit kind of close to the stage at lunch, because if your name is uttered to get a prize, I don't want you to come from all the way back to get your prize. So try to sit kind of to the front. So you've done really great. I'm supposed to read this, okay? Our finalists this year have done really great work. I've also been impressed with the presentation. Perhaps make a comment about one or two things that were presented. That's in square brackets. So I'll make a couple comments. First of all, I don't want to stick a needle in my eye. Please be successful. Please, you know, frankly. All right, so that's my comment. So thank you for all the work you put into your presentation and for joining us today here in Toronto. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our judges, Steve Currie, Toby Heaps, Lucy Keating, and Rui Resendes. And I'd like the people to applaud the judges, because it's never too late to suck up to the judges. Get it done. All right. Thank you. And thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule and, you know, whatever networking you might otherwise have done on the floor, and you'll have to do that this afternoon. In recognition of this, we'd like to give you a small token of our appreciation. You know, ever notice how nobody gives a big token? It's like always a small token. I want to go to a conference where they give big tokens of appreciation. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. I would also like to encourage you all to take a look at the finalists of our student video competition. Their entries can be viewed on OCE's Discovery 2011 YouTube channel and also at the listening booth, which are being set up inside the OCE welcome area, somewhere over there. Just exit and walk straight ahead and you'll find it. This competition has been videoed, so you'll be able to catch it on Much Music tonight. No, you'll be able to view this on the Discovery website later, sorry. And remember that the results of this competition will be announced at lunch, which will take place in Hall F&G just over there to the left of the main amphitheater. And it starts just about now, I mean, a few moments. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Have a great Discovery conference. I'll see you next year.